Hi everyone, so I am Kristen Nevet S. Gajana, and now we are here to discuss about the deaf and hard of hearing learners. We have here the assistive learning device. Assistive learning device are personal amplifiers designed to enhance sound levels during in-person talks and small group conversations. So these assistive learning devices are the devices which help the deaf or the hard of hearing person na makapag-communicate to other people. Next is the deafness. Deafness means hearing impairment that is so severe that the child is impaired in processing linguistic information through hearing, with or without amplifications that adversely affect a child's educational performance. So dito sa deafness, it is hearing impairment which is yung child is they aren't able to process information through hearing because may problem sa kanilang ears. Next natin ay ang hearing impairment. Hearing impairment is an impairment in hearing, whether permanent or fluctuating, that adversely affects child's educational performance, but that is not included under the definitions of deafness. So, dito kasi sa ating hearing impairment is yung may mga hearing loss is from mild to profound lang. So, meaning, yung mga, dito nakapaloob yung mga, may mga mahihinang pandinig, yung may mga, hindi sila totally bingi, hindi katulad sa deafness, which is sa deafness kasi they are using sign language to communicate with other people, where dito sa hearing impairment is they are able to communicate with the help of assistive learning devices. Next natin is definition. The deaf community are those deaf and hard of hearing individuals who share a common experiences and values, a common way of interacting with each other and with hearing people. So they have a different take when it comes to labeling. If an individual is totally deaf, it is fine with them to be called deaf, especially those who have embraced deaf culture and usually through sign language. The term deaf with a small d is usually used for those who are hard of hearing with the hearing aids or cochlear implants. However, the use of the term deaf learners are more inclusive and usually identifies both type of disability under the impairment and under hearing impairment. Deaf community. This deaf community kasi is nakapaloob dito yung mga different kinds of deafness, hard hearing, and deaf. So, sabi dito, deaf with big letter D refers to the people who have completely deaf and using a sign language as a communications. And with small letter D, deaf, which is it refers to the people who are hard of hearing and might use a hearing aid or the cochlear implant, while the D deaf learners there are the terms which is more inclusive term for both deaf and the deaf people. So sabi kasi dito na, yung hearing impairment, it is a general term for any problem with hearing that affect a child's learning. And it has two types, which is yung deafness and hard of hearing. Yung deafness natin is meaning yung deafness meaning is yung child may severe hearing loss siya na kahit medyo nakakarinig siya is hindi niya pa rin mapaprocess yung information na sinasabi through spoken to verbal. While yung hard of hearing naman kasi, child means has some hearing loss, but they can still understand spoken language with the help of hearing aids. So, yung pinagkaiba ng hard of hearing sa deafness is yung hard of hearing is yung child is they are able to use of hearing aid to understand the spoken language, while yung deafness naman na hindi sila nagkakaroon sila ng problemang makapag-understand ng spoken language kahit na severe lang yung hearing loss nila. So, deaf community is a group of people who are deaf and share a unique culture. So, dito sa deaf community na to is, pinaniniwalaan nila na yung deafness is not a problem to fix, but a part of who they are. So, meaning there are, parang sinasabi nila na, let's not focus on their disabilities, but their capabilities. Kaya, Deaf culture has its own history, traditions, and language, which is the sign language. Next naman natin ang types and causes. Types of hearing loss. We have here the conductive hearing impairment. It is a condition when there is a disruptions in the transmission of sound in the middle or outer ear. Sa ating conductive hearing impairment, as you can see in the picture, there is a problem either the outer ear or in the middle ear. So, ito yung dalawang X na yan. So, pwedeng magkaroon dito sa outer ear ng mga earwax build-up or dito sa middle ear ng mga fluid build-up. So, mabablockage nun at saka pe-prevent yung sound para mag-reach sa inner ear. So, kaya nagkakaroon ng nahihirapan silang makarinig. Sensory neural hearing impairment is characterized by issues within the inner ear or with the connections to the brain. So, with sensory neural hearing loss, there is a problem in our inner ear, yung like damage yung mga hair cells, or yung auditory nerve, yung mga damage yung connection through our brain. So, meaning yung sound signal natin, hindi siya properly na mapaprocess or masisend sa ating brain, kaya hindi maiintindihan ng may mga sensory neural hearing impairment yung mga spoken language, which is hindi napaprocess yung information through our ear. Next is the mixed hearing impairment. Refers to a condition when both types of hearing impairment, conductive and sensory neural, are present simultaneously. So, as you can see in the picture, pares yung inner, middle, and inner ear natin na may X. Kung sa may conductive hearing loss is yung problem with the outer or middle ear, which is yung pinaprevent niya yung sound na mag-travel properly to the inner ear. And yung sensory neural hearing loss naman is yung problem sa inner ear or sa nerve na naka-connected sa brain. Dito naman, sa mixed hearing loss, parehas na nangyayari. Which is yung conductive at saka sensory neural is parehas na nangyayari sa ear. So, therefore, wala siyang totally deaf na yung kanyang ear. Kaya nagkakaroon ng difficulty to understand the speech, especially sa mga noisy environment. So, classification of hearing loss can be described as unilateral or bilateral. Unilateral hearing loss is a hearing loss on one side of the ear, either left or right, while bilateral means both ear has a hearing loss. So, yung unilateral hearing loss, yung unilateral meaning, pwedeng yung left or yung right mo, yung may problem na mag-process ng mga information which is hindi na tayo makakarinig, pwedeng left or right. Pwedeng left or yung right. While yung bilateral means is yung parehas na yung tenga nating may hearing loss. So, hearing loss can be classified according to the onset in which it was acquired, congenital, and acquired. So, hearing loss can be congenital. So, meaning nun, nasa tiyan ka pa lang ng nanay mo, meaning deaf ka na talaga. So, pag pinanganak ka niya, you are totally deaf. While yung sa may acquired naman is, pwedeng nakuha mo yung deafness mo through accident. Hearing loss could be also a prelingual, acquired before the development of spoken language, or postlingual, acquired after learning the spoken language. So, yung prelingual kasi hearing loss that happened before you learn to speak, while yung postlingual is a hearing loss that happened after you learn to speak. Dito naman tayo sa causes of congenital hearing loss. Genetics plays a crucial role in acquiring congenital hearing loss. Genes that cause hearing loss can come from both parents. It is possible that both parents may have a recessive genes that cause hearing loss, but was passed down to their offspring as active, otherwise called autosomal recessive hearing loss. This happens when there is a history of the parents' lineage on hearing loss, and while, on the other hand, if one of the parents manifests hearing loss and passes it down to its offspring, is what we call autosomal active hearing loss. So, yung autosomal recessive hearing loss kasi, yung both parents, they both have a recessive genes that cause hearing loss. So, therefore, may big possibilities na maipasa nila sa magiging anak nila yung pagiging deaf. While Yung autosomal active hearing loss naman, it is yung one parent which has a hearing loss. It can also passes down to its offspring. Kaya tinatawag siyang autosomal active hearing loss. Otitis media is a middle ear infection which may result in hearing loss that is permanent or temporary. Otitis media is most common in young children but can occur at any age. Acute otitis media is a rapid onset infections that result in inflammation, erythema, and accumulation of fluid in the middle ear. Located beneath the eardrum, this may result in fever or discomfort and temporary hearing loss. So, dito sa otitis media, this is when the middle ear or the small space behind the eardrum gets infected. So, kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng hearing loss kasi sa infection. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng hard to hear because nagkaroon nga ng blockage or yung infection. Kaya hindi nagtatravel properly yung sound inside our middle ear. Acute otitis media naman, it is a inflammation and redness din. So, nagsaswollen yung inside our ear natin. Tapos, yung fluid is nabibuild up behind our eardrums. Tulad ng mucus sa ating nose. Pwede siyang magkaroon ng temporary hearing loss for a while. Temporary lang. So, otitis media with effusion, commonly referred to as a glue ear, is the accumulation of fluid in the middle ear with any accompanying infections. This can result in impaired hearing and challenges in maintaining balance. Chronic suppurative otitis media is a persistent infection of the middle ear that can cause harm to the eardrum and the small bones in the middle ear. This can result in permanent hearing impairment. So, dito sa ating otitis media with effusion is magkakaroon ng any fluid in the middle ear. So, hindi naman siya infection, pero para nagiging blockage na rin siya para sa sound waves. Yung chronic suppurative otitis media, it is a persistent infection in the middle ear. So, ito na yung pinaka-infection which is naapektuhan na yung ating inner ear. Pwedeng yung small bones is ma-fractured or talagang ma-infection na siya. Kaya nagkakaroon na ng permanent hearing impairment. Meningitis, which is inflammations of meninges, the protective membranes that surrounds the brain and the spinal cord caused by virus, bacteria, fungi, or parasites. This is the most leading type of cause of post-lingual hearing. Dito sa ating meningitis naman, yung meningitis kasi, this is like a protective wrapping which is getting inflamed, like rash on the package. So, meaning, pwede siya maging cause by virus, bacteria, fungi, or parasites. So, kaya siya connected sa ating hearing loss dahil yung inflammation na yun, nagkakause siya ng damage sa ating hearing nerve. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng hard to hear. So, meaning, it's like a wrapping being so swollen that it squashes the nerve inside. Kaya naapektuhan yung ating hearing nerve. Excessive exposure to noise also lead to the degradations of sounds auditions. Sounds that are amplified to 120 decibels to 150 decibels are already destructive to typical person's ear. So, yung excessive exposure to noise is, ayun yung pinaka-common na pinagkukuhaan or pinaka-common causes ng hearing loss dahil sa sobrang exposure nila sa mga malalakas na sound is naapektuhan yung kanilang hearing nerve. Hearing loss becomes a notice, especially if an individual's workspace is exposed in a noisy area where it became common thing. Expect those working as aircrafts operators, sound operators, construction workers may acquire hearing loss due to excessive exposure to noise. So, pinaka-common na causes nito is yung yung kung kanina is yung exposure to mga loud noise. Also, ito rin yung may mga work na exposure sila sa mga malalakas na sound. Also, yung mga diba? Yung mga nagtatrabaho sa mga aircraft, yung mga sound operators. Kaya some of them are wearing parang headphone to protect their to protect their ears sa mga malalakas na sounds. Also yung 'di ba hearing loss become unnoticed. So meaning pag lagi kang nasa malalakas na sound, yung environment mo is nasasanay na yung tenga natin, and hindi nila napapansin na unti-unti na pala sila nagkakaroon ng hearing loss, na humihina na yung pandinig nila, especially pag makikipag-communicate na sila sa other people, which is like sa kanilang family, ganun. Thanks.